My grandfather, which is Miao Wentong, came from Weihai City in China. He had a family with a wife and 2 kids. In 1936, my grandfather escaped from Weihai because communists forced my grandfather to join the army. But my grandfather rejected, and so he escaped the communists by jumping into a river and was able to avoid communists from finding him. After that, my grandfather has successfully escaped to Hong Kong, leaving his family in Weihai. He was forced to earn a living in Hong Kong, so he worked as a general contractor. After a few years living in Hong Kong, my grandfather's friend suggested him going to Borneo, because the chances in earning a living at Borneo is much higher. When he is in Sabah, he worked as a carpenter. In his journey, he met my grandmother, which is Li Tianhua, and they got married and had a family. They had 3 kids, and that is my father, Miao Xiaolong, my auntie, Miao Xiaomi, and also my uncle, Miao Xiaoliang. My grandmother owned a grocery store, and after they got married, my grandfather supported my grandmother's business. Although he left his family back in Weihai, my grandfather still sent living funds to his family in Weihai, and has often gone back to visit them in Weihai. My grandfather, Xin Yuliat, came from China. During his days in China, it was hard to him as the chances of getting job at there are quite low. His family gave him burden too of not having any jobs. He then decided to move to Singapore to search for a better lifestyle at there, hoping there are job offers for him. After some time staying at Singapore, he found that he is not used to the environment at there. Later, he moved to East Malaysia, which is Sabah, and decided to stay at a small town named Tuaran in Kota Kinabalu. His decisions are determined by some of the news he heard from his working partners at Singapore, that there are lots of Hokkien people living in Tuaran, as he is a Hokkien people too and he got friends living at there. He then started working as a bus driver at first after moving. Then, time by time, he met my grandmother. Before that, let me talk about my grandmother's history before she met my grandfather. My mother, Wong Chun Liat, also came from China and was 4 years old when she and her family moved to East Malaysia. They moved to a small town too named Papar and settled down at there. Her parents work as a farmer which plants paddy and potatoes, and I also work as workers that collects oil palms. Her family also consists of 4 children, which 3 of them are male and 1 of them are female. Unfortunately, because of certain disease that strikes upon my grandmother's days, her siblings died early and she was the only one who survived. At the age of 22, which is during year 1941, the Japanese army has invaded and taken control of our land. Those were the hard times, as my grandmother and her parents have no choice but to live and hide from the Japanese army in jungles or mountain caves. They eat only potatoes as their meal and live in fear of being catched every day. Luckily, in 1946, the Japanese army has surrendered. My grandmother's parents also wished that she marry early. She then moved from Papar to Tuaran as there are more Hokkien people living there, and she is also one of the Hokkien people. And that is how my grandfather met my grandmother in Tuaran. They soon fall in love with each other and get married.
with the responsible on his shoulder to take care of his family. He changed his work to drive a lorry as the salary are higher compared to driving a bus. Grandparents later then gave birth to 5 children, which 4 of them are male and 1 of them are female. My grandfather then changed his work again to open a small grocery store as his business and living. As time flies, his business gets better and better. The life he lives now is complete and better than before, with his family taken care of and stable income. The female member of my grandparents' family, which is now my mother, met my father during her working days. They later get married after several years of relationship. They gave birth to 3 of us and had a stable income too.